Well, it's 10:05 a.m., so we'll go ahead and get started now. I want to thank you for attending today's webinar, Benefits 24/7. This is session 2 for employer groups. And before we get started, I want to do a little housekeeping. So all attendees will be muted. And if the program allows you to, please don't unmute yourself during the webinar. Please use a Q&A feature to submit your questions. And today's webinar, questions should be related to adding a dependent with disabilities, adding an extended dependent, and the dependent verification process. What I'm going to do now is going to go out there and show you where to find the training videos at. All right, so this is a look at the benefits administrative webpage. And where to find the videos at, what you want to go down to is training resources. Click on their link here for you. And you say you need training here. You look under training materials and recordings. Look under benefits 24/7, and here's instructional videos. Last week was session 1, and this week is session 2. For next week, session 3s are already out there. So for next Friday, you want to look at these here and come back and ask your questions. If you're having problems logging in, you want to go to the HCA support. Here's a link right here for you. Hey, say I need help getting logged in. We'll be able to get you logged in for you. Remember too, when you go out here, if you haven't been here before, your employer will probably have no employees in there. So you want to do is create your own employees, get in there, start practicing in there, and adding dependents and doing the stuff like that. So again, get your practice before it comes live on May 8th. And as far as the live environment, it's going to look a little bit different than the training environment. So they're doing improvements at all the time. So again, you want to make sure that you be able to get here and practicing, get yourself ready for the live environment. Today, we're going to be hosted by Deb, Rob, and Larry. So you guys, do you have anything you want to add to that at all?
I do not at this time.
I don't either, Larry. Good job.
All right. So does anybody have any questions at all for us? Have you been in there practicing? Have you been there looking around and have some questions about the program? So I think we're going to do too, if nobody has any questions, we're going to go through there and we're going to actually go and demonstrate some of the videos this week, the training videos, and go through and add a dependent with disability, add an extended dependent, and go through the dependent verification process for you. Deb, did you want to take that over?
You bet. I'll go ahead
Thank
and
you.
share my screen. You bet. Well, one of you guys let me know when you can see it.
Yep, I see it.
Okay, because we're working with employer groups today, I have signed in as a benefits administrator with one of our employer groups, which would be Yakima County, who is a full benefits employer. So like Larry said, I'm going to go ahead and add we have a subscriber. So here, let me just tell you the scenario. I've already, for training purposes today, added a subscriber, and he has not done any of his enrollment through the newly eligible wizard. So when I go ahead and open that up and do his enrollment, we will go ahead and add a dependent with a disability and also an extended dependent. And then later we'll come on the back side of that and we will show you how to do the dependent verification. So I guess first I'd like to say, I know that we have been letting everybody know that they need to come in and watch the videos first. So I apologize if you have already watched the videos, but maybe you can learn something from other people's questions and anything that I might be showing that comes up that I might not have mentioned in the videos. But if you haven't, then what I'm going to demonstrate here will be what is in those videos. So I'm going to go ahead and find my employee. And I like to work with like famous people, so people I like. So I'm going to look for Johnny Cash. I'm going to go ahead and manage him. So as you can see, I have already added him, and here is his newly eligible wizard. So we're going to go ahead, just like if he was the employee or you as the VA, have the enrollment forms and everything you need to go ahead and get him and his dependents enrolled. So First thing it's asking is, does this employee have dependents to add? And we're going to say yes. Click on next. And then by now, you're probably familiar with adding dependents when I've done previous videos and training. So we're going to go ahead and add the first child is going to be a dependent. I'm just going to type this in so we know which ones we're dealing with. Dependent with a disability. And I'm going to say, oh, one, oh boy. You know, before I do that, sorry, I'm going to back up and make sure I gave this employee good. Okay, that's what I needed, just to make sure that the child wasn't older than the employee. It might error out. So, okay, apologize for that. We'll go start over. Okay, go ahead and try to add this dependent. Okay, and we'll give them a birth date of, oh, I don't know, 1990. And this will be a female in the relationship. So here, this dependent is still a child. So you're going to tell the system that it's a child. But because the system looks at this birth date, it recognizes right off the bat that this is a dependent with a disability who is over the age of 26. And that's what, as you guys know, makes them eligible to continue to be on a subscriber's plan after they're 26 years old. I am going to go ahead and put in a social security number. And so I guess what I'd like to do first, though, is before I tell it, I'm going to go back here. See right here, there is no text that comes up, but as soon as you tell the system that it's a child and it identifies that it's a dependent with a disability, then this text starts to come up for you as the BA or for your employees who are doing their self-enrollment. So it's basically letting them know, hey, if you're going to enroll a dependent who is 26 or older, then you have to also complete this certification of a dependent with a disability. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that because I am going to take the opportunity to do some additional education here that our team who works on the certification for these dependents with disabilities has asked us to kind of market this a little bit. So when you have an employee who wants to add this type of dependent, they're going to need dependent verification documents as well as the certification. And as you know, all of this has to be to us within that 31-day eligibility window. So when we get through that dependent verification screen, because if your employees are doing this and you might not know, we'll show you how you're going to be able to identify that that is a dependent with a disability, because we're going to ask you to make sure that you're working with your employees to make sure they know that this form is required. So for people who may not be familiar with it, it just tells the employee what you have to do. So the employee, all of this form is going to be up to the employee to get completed and to back to where it needs to be within those 31 days. So that's really important. But the employee just needs to do the enrollment. So if they're going to add the child, make sure they go through the enrollment process. And then this form has to be completed and mailed within those 31 days when they're newly eligible. So where do they mail the form? So this is where employees get confused, especially if they're new, right? They have a lot of paperwork coming at them, a lot of things they got to learn about their benefits, and they don't really pay attention probably to this. So depending on what they're going to enroll this dependent in, if they're going to only enroll them in dental, here's the address that this needs to be sent to. That's not to you as the BA. It's not back to the payroll or HR office there. It has to be sent here. If it's for medical and dental, so it doesn't matter, I should say not and. If they enroll the dependent in medical, and that's going to be with or without dental coverage, then where they mail this completed form to is going to be based on which medical plan they're enrolling in. So if it's Kaiser Northwest, it'll be this address. If it's Kaiser Washington, this address. And then if it's Uniform, it's going to be this address. And again, the employee has a lot of information that they need to get. They need to have their information, their child's information, and then a little bit further down, they're going to need to be going to the dependent's medical provider to get these last 2 pages completed so that that can get back to us so that we have enough information to determine if this child meets the criteria to be eligible. So we just wanted to make sure that you knew that. So I'm going to go back to this screen here. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and say that this dependent resides with our subscriber. So it's just asking us to add coverage, and we're going to go ahead and choose medical and dental. And again, based on this child's birth date, the system recognizes that they're over the age of 13 and they do need to make this tobacco attestation. So we're going to come down here and we're going to say, ask, does the dependent use tobacco products? We're going to say no. Proceed to reviewing this dependent. So it's just giving the employee one chance to look, a chance, because they're going to have more, to verify that, yes, what I put in is correct. This is my dependent's name, birthday. I said it was a child, and I've chosen to enroll them in both medical and dental, and the surcharges don't apply. And again, the system is sophisticated enough to recognize that it's not a spouse type of dependent. So it just says it does not apply. So we'll go ahead and finish that dependent. So it's letting us know that, yeah, that dependent has been added. Do we have more? And I'm going to say yes, because I want to go ahead and do an extended dependent. So let's see, I'm going to come down here and extended dependent. How about if I spell that right? Okay. And I'm going to say January 1, 20. Oh, how about 2000? No. I'm just going to say, oh, sorry. Double clicking will take you there. Let's don't double click. Hopefully you're a single clicker. I'll just say 2020. Okay, so we're going to say male, and down here under the relationship, again, remember, there's no text here, right? So I'm going to come down, and I know that this is an extended dependent. It's not my child or any other relationship like that. System recognizes that it's an extended dependent, and then here that information comes down that if you're enrolling an extended dependent, then you also need to upload a certification form for this extended dependent. And this certification form, just like the court documents, need to be uploaded if the employee is going to do it themselves, right? And if you're the BA, you're going to need to upload it too. And I'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to that upload screen. But I will go ahead and say, this dependent, I don't know their social security number. The subscriber doesn't know it yet at this time. So we'll come back to that. So anyway, also, if this was an extended dependent who was the age of 26 or older with a disability, then you would also need to be telling the employee that there is that certification of dependent with disability required as well. So I don't know that we have a lot of those, but I know that there are some. So we'll go ahead and say that this dependent also resides with the subscriber and add coverage. So we're going to go ahead and put them in medical and dental and do the dependent review. So again, it's just putting the name, the birth date, that it is an extended dependent. We're enrolling both. And again, based on the age and type of dependent we selected, the system saying we don't have to do any of those attestations. So we'll save this dependent. No, we do not have any more to add. That one was successfully added. So here's where it's a comprehensive review. It's taking all your dependents now that have been added for this subscriber, and it's going to put it on one page so you can take another look at it. And if it looks the same, you don't want to make any changes, great. If you do, you could come into edit dependent and go ahead and make those changes. It's just letting you know here that you're going to have to be providing some proof, and what's coming up is that document upload page. So the first thing that's going to come up for any subscriber who's trying to enroll a dependent with a disability is that they're telling them, this little pink box here is, hey, that certificate of that dependent with a disability does not get uploaded in this application. Remember, follow the instructions on the form for where to send it. So that's just a message to you too, as a heads up. We don't want it in the system. And they do need to upload that dependent verification document, such as a birth certificate here. So we're going to come down the screen, and I'm going to go ahead. Okay, so this is where I'd like to say, if the employee is doing their own self-enrollment, they have to upload their documents, right? That's the only way anybody's going to see them, the ones that should be uploaded. If you, as the BA, get it in a paper format, so you're getting their enrollment forms, you're getting their dependent verification, and that certification, remember, should not be there. You'd give that back to the employee, tell them to mail that to the appropriate address, but their extended dependent documents would be given to you as well. You do need to upload at least the extended dependent documents. I've kind of been going through the other videos saying, you know, if you're the BA, you have the papers in front of you, you could skip this. But when it's an extended dependent, our agency needs those documents. And the only way through this application that we're going to get them is through upload. So hopefully, you know, that's not too terribly confusing, but just know we do need those if you're not going to upload the other ones. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select files as if I'm the employee. So the first one is just, I'm going to go ahead and do the birth certificate for that dependent with a disability. Remember, I'm not going to upload the certification. And it drops here and it comes down here and it's asking me what kind of document this is. And I'm going to say it's a birth certificate. And then it's asking me, well, who does this verify? So I'm going to say it verifies the dependent with a disability. And before I go ahead and upload it all and confirm it, I'm going to go ahead and select the things that I need for the extended dependent. So I am going to pick up some court documents, and I know that I need that certification. So I'm going to go ahead and drop those in there. And those show up right here, as well as coming down here. So the first one is asking, what is this? And here's what I'd like to say. For the extended dependents, we don't have an exact option here that says certification for extended dependent. So go ahead and click on the court-ordered parenting plan, legal custody, guardianship, and then we're going to apply that to the extended dependent. But as you know, they need that other piece of documentation, right? They need this court document or whatever the legal document is showing that relationship or responsibility for this dependent. So we'll go ahead and click on this, and that also goes for the extended dependent. So here's what I'd like to say. No matter what this is, so here's what I call it, right? I titled it this when I saved it. So when it uploads, it could say anything. It could say Joe Blow. It could say whatever, right? Whatever you call it. But when I come over here and I choose for this extended dependent, say I put the wrong thing, or I didn't know, or your employee doesn't know, right? They picked the wrong thing up. That's not going to be a big deal, because when it comes to an extended dependent, the system recognizes what kind of dependent it is. And when we say it's extended dependent, then that is what pushes all this documentation over to our team. You will not have a role in it, but it doesn't matter what you call the document, really. We just say, try to do this one to keep it consistent at least, or try to, use the system appropriately. But just know that it would not mess anything up as long as it's here and it's given this and you say extended here, it's going to get to our team who does those verifications. So I'm going to go ahead and upload and confirm this. This page just says that confirmation that your eligibility stuff has been uploaded. This would not be proof that the employees' dependents have been verified, right? So it's just saying, yep, we got these documents, but you guys know that that does not make them enrolled. So we're going to go ahead and proceed to electing coverage. So this employee just needs to go ahead and choose their plan. Remember, this is an employee who had not previously enrolled when I set him up. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the classic plan. And what it's doing is it's recognizing that this employee has that dependent with a disability. And it's just reminding them, hey, don't forget, you got to do that certification with the medical provider for enrollment in this plan. So we'll click next, and we'll go ahead and click on the dental plan. Click next. And here's where it's just going to allow you as the BA or the subscriber to just kind of see overall what the coverage is. So you can see here's the employee, the dependents, coverage dates are correct, and the medical and dental plans they're choosing. So now we'll go ahead and do the tobacco attestation. There's just that information. And remember, when it says you, this tobacco attestation is about the subscriber or the employee. And we're going to say, yes, he uses tobacco products. Go ahead and click through next, saying you'll be charged that $25. And now we're going to go out to the supplemental coverages. So just remember, if you are an employer group who is medical only, right now, your employees would not see this, and we are working with the developers to get the other things that should be here out here for you. But for everybody who has the full benefits, this is where your employee would go ahead and make their election for their long-term disability. So I'm going to say, he says, nah, I just want the 50% plan. So I'm going to come down the screen and I'm going to continue and review. And this is where you can see that now they are enrolled. Here's that summary of coverage. So and it says right up here, this is not a statement of insurance. So just remember that this is what it's saying, that there's your summary of what you've elected. So again, I guess I say that because I don't want employees to think that these people are enrolled now until that verification process has been completed. So anyway, it's just showing their effective dates for medical and dental, which plans they chose. And again, because our employer groups won't have the premiums out here, this message is out here for your employees, the surcharge, and then we'll go to the next page. And it shows the life insurance and that this employee has the employer paid LTD as well as that 50%. And this would not apply to our medical only groups. So we go here, come down to the last page and confirm that. So that is complete for that part. I'm going to go back out to the admin dashboard. And here's where I'm going to talk about that dependent verification. So here's the dependent verification tile. So if your employees are doing their own enrollment, right, and they don't have any dependents, and they're just doing their stuff, they aren't going to be uploading any documents. You're not going to have anything here. You're not going to see anything. It's just going to get done and it's going to come over and we're going to know how they've been enrolled. And that information will come over to you at some point for their enrollment. But if your employees are enrolling dependents and you're not doing it for them, this is the only way that you're going to know that you have a dependent that needs to be verified. So we are kind of really highly recommending to benefits administrators to be logging into this application on a daily basis once it goes live, because this is the only way you're going to know when your dependents have gone ahead and uploaded documents for your review. And remember, if these don't get done in 31 days, then that's going to default and they're not going to be able to add these dependents. So it has to be verified by you. If you are doing it yourself, you have the paper documents, part of your process could be just at the same time you get done enrolling them, come over to this tile and go ahead and verify that one employee. That way it completes your process. We can't tell you your steps. It's just however you would like to do it. So this is just the part that completes it. So we're going to go ahead and go into that tile. And as you can see, it's bringing up this employee that needs to have a verification done. So this is kind of a good employer, kind of not to work with, because we don't have a lot of examples in here. I might go back out to another one to kind of just educate you on some other things. I'm going to try to finish this one through first. So first, when you come out to your dependent verification screen, it's only showing you pending, right? So let's say if you click on that, then you're going to see, you're going to see everything, right? You're going to see no matter what status it is, but right now it's only going to show you pending because that number that was on your tile was 1. And right here, it's just showing you only have 1 item, and that would be consistent. So say that number is 14, you should have 14 things here. The only time that you would see more is if you clicked on this. Anything that shows pending is what you as the BA need to be worried about. Everything else that's not, you wouldn't be worried about that, right? If it's not showing up as pending. So the first thing that looks odd, and I guess I'll go back to the other screen at some point and show you, but here is the subscriber. Here is their dependent type, or no, that's the dependent name, sorry. And here's the reason, right? So it's telling you what kind of dependent is this. So now you know it's disabled. A dependent with a disability. Sorry, I feel like these words should be flipped, but okay. So dependent with a disability, that's your first clue, right? That you're going to need to be reaching out to that employee to make sure that they get that certification form in. Because here's the intent. We want really to get these dependents enrolled because, they have a medical condition and they need to be on the plan. So we're trying to work with you as the BAs and the employees to make sure that we get those dependents enrolled timely and that the employee won't have to go through an appeal process because they weren't aware of that certification form. So that's just kind of a heads up. But here's the status. So it says pending certification. Well, if I was a BA, and it says pending certification, I'd be like, I don't need to do that one because I don't have anything to do with verifying the certification. But I have spoken with the developers, and here's what I've been told. Anything that shows up on your page here as pending, whether it's pending certification or pending, you still have to go in there and verify their dependent status, right? You have to verify that they are a dependent. And this is going to be changed at some time in the future because you don't play a role in verifying the certification. It will just say pending. But for today, if you get some that say pending, 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 and then pending certification, that means you have to do all of them just for the dependent verification part. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus sign next to this employee's name. Here's what it looks like when you go in there. Here's the employee's information, their name, their social security number, birthday. Here's the dependent that they're adding. So here's the social security number and here's the birthday. Again, here's the type of dependent it is, another clue to you. And then you're just going to go over here. So the verification documents are the same thing. We told it was a birth certificate. So that's why it's saying that. It's telling you who uploaded it and when it was uploaded. So I will click on that. And let's just say it's the birth certificate and it looks great, meets all of the criteria I need. So up here in the corner is how you click out of that. And then I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to verify this. But let's say it was a wrong document. It wasn't what you needed and you want to deny it. You're going to go in here and you're going to say why you're denying it. Sorry, just a moment. Okay, sorry about that. Joys of working from home. Okay, so we would deny this and then we would go ahead and give it whatever the document was and we would submit that. And it would show up with a denied status. But just know that that is not going to go back to your employee in any way, shape, or form. They're not going to get an email. They're not going to get any kind of notification. If they were to go back into their Benefits 24/7 account and just kind of look at their stuff and click on their Manage Dependents tile, it would show denied. But here's what I'm thinking. Most employees, once they've submitted all of their stuff, aren't going to be going back in there to check to see anything. I just don't think they will. However you do this today, when your documents are not good, is what you have to continue to do. Okay, we just need to make sure you know there's nothing going out to your employees for you to let them know. But in this instance, I'm going to go ahead and verify it. And I'm going to say that it is a birth certificate, and I'm going to go ahead and submit that. So like I told you, that will fall off of your page. You don't have to do anything else. It took care of it, even though it said pending certification. So here's what I'm going to do though, too. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click on let me think if there's something else I want to tell you first. Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm clear on that. I think before I go back and do the other one, I do want to pick up another employer because I want to show you what I was talking about. So here's that dependent verification tile. They have 12. Again, if I come to the bottom of the page, there are 12, and you'll see they're pending, 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 pending cert, right? All of these 12, because here's a page 1 and 2 to get to all of them. All of those, say this is your page, right? You have to go in, you have a role. And this here says certification. No, you have to go in there and just verify that it is a dependent and has the correct documentation for that. And once you do that, it will come off of your page. So I just kind of wanted to show you that. So we'll come back in here and I'll pick up Yakima again, go back to your dependent verification tile. And right now you don't have any. So the other one is the extended dependent, right? And when you or your employee have uploaded those documents, they're not going to show up out here. And that's because you play no role in that verification or certification process. But if I was the BA and I was uploading this for the employee, I would want to make sure that it's out there. So I come to my tile for dependent verification. It's not here, right? But if I click on the show everything, right, it's going to now show me that extended dependent right here. And I can go in there and look at it. And I can make sure it's all uploaded. Great. And even if I were, as the BA, to try to go in and do any of this, I can't. It's not going to let me, right? I can't do it. So it's for whatever, somebody else comes in here and verifies it on our team, we can't. Also on the certification piece, I'm going to click on that because you would see it here too with this dependent. I'll go back in and show you, but the certification is done by our people at HCA. They will come in here and they will update this. So see, the BA cannot do anything. You can't do anything in those boxes. So you can see the status. Is it pending? Is it approved? Does it have a review date? Does it have a certification start or end date? So once that's done, that will, once we've verified that and certified it, that will be updated. And that's how you would be able to see that. That's going to show up here also in the dependent who has a disability, because they have a certification requirement as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go back to this subscriber, manage, search for him, and then manage him, because there's one more thing I'd like to show you. So you as the BA, if your employees come in and they say, hey, is that certified? Or if you want to know, right, you can click on their manage dependents tile, and you can see right here, it is still pending certification. If this was a general dependent and it had been verified, it would just say pending, okay? But here's this dependent with a disability, same thing. So you're gonna see the same thing. You're gonna see, when you come down farther, wait, where's that? Here it is, I'm sorry. Certification, same information. And also for the extended dependent, right? You're gonna see the same stuff when you come in. Now, right here. Okay, so when your employees, we're going to take this back. I'm going to take it back out to the dashboard. I'm going to pretend the employee is now logged into their own account, right? So they're not going to see these tabs right there. This is what they're going to see. Here's their dashboard. If they want to go in and check it, once they learn about this, and they know that they can check their own and like, oh dear, I know I have to get that recertified. What's that date again? So instead of asking you, once they are familiar with the system, they can go in here and click on manage dependents, and they're going to say the same thing. They're going to be able to come down, look at their dependent in the same way, and look at that certification information. So that's how that's all done. So does anybody have any questions? Because I feel like I've covered what the videos and what this 3 weeks topics were about. Larry or Rob,
Deb,
did I miss something? Yeah.
Hey, Deb, there was a couple questions on logging in.
Oh,
So
yeah.
after you did, could you know the part where you have to sign up for the
I do.
SAW?
I'd be happy. You bet.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So here's, does anybody have questions about any of these? Adding an extended dependent, adding a dependent with a disability, or how we verify those dependents?
Hey, Deb, I have a comment on that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I noticed you added the extended certification for that dependent, but there was no DV doc uploaded for the extended dependent. There was a birth certificate for the disabled dependent, but not a DV doc. So they would also have to upload some type of DV doc, like a tax form or something like that, right?
Well, just a minute. Let's talk about that so we don't confuse the BAs, right? So when you have an extended dependent, there's only, Larry, make sure I'm correct on this, right? It's not a birth certificate. It is a court document proving you have financial or legal responsibility for this dependent. It's not a birth certificate. And that, isn't that right, Larry?
Yeah, so you don't have to provide dependent verification for extended dependent, because that's not your dependent.
Right. It's somebody who's like, yeah, exactly.
Like a niece, nephew.
Yeah.
Not going to be on your tax return usually.
Right.
Things like that. So.
Right. So that's why,
so that
Larry,
would act as both.
I mean, not Larry, but Rob. Yes. So that's why I said, even though it says this term, remember when I was uploading it, one of them is that court document or that parenting plan or something that shows legal responsibility for this dependent, right? And the other one was the certification form. And because we don't have an option for the certification form, that's why they both say this. That's why there's two documents. There always has to be two documents for an extended dependent, one showing that legal responsibility and the other one, the certification. And this is confusing. I can see how this is confusing because it has the same title. But once the BA opens it, or not the BA, HCA admin, once we open those, we'll see what they are. And the team, I've already talked to them about that. They are aware that this is how it's probably going to come over. But like I tried to explain, even if they said it was a birth certificate or was something else, it doesn't matter. The team would look at it and make sure, because it's going to float over because of the type of dependent that it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So are there any questions in general, right? about this. Okay, it just appears that there aren't. So what I'm going to do then to do a logging in, I'm going to get out of this and I'm going to go back and kind of walk you guys through, because everybody in our audience today, I'm going to just expect that it's somebody from an employer group. So we're back out here at the training URL, right? The login. So you guys are all logging in through this first button. Okay, so the video, which I am in the process of trying to update, because we did not know this when we developed that first video for logging in, that so basically I said, hey, if you already have a SAW account with your work email, go ahead and log in, and this is going to get you through the process. But what we discovered is way up here. See this little word test? I was not aware of that. So this SAW account is not the SAW account that you would be typically using in your daily operations, because it's not real. So you have to, every BA coming in through this button has to sign up for an account. So basically, you're going to sign up again and you're going to use your work email. And you can use the same password if you want, because this is all fake. And then when you go out to your real one, it's going to still work, because this is just to get you in the play thing, right? So you're going to do the same thing that I told everybody to do when they didn't have a SAW sign in. So then you're going to go through here, create your account. They're going to send you a message. You're going to validate it. Then you're going to be able to go back out here, log in, use those credentials, and it should drop you in with no problem after you get your little code. Oh, well, it would help if I think I put my wrong code in. Just slow down, Debbie. Okay, so it's going to tell me the same thing. It's going to go to your work email, because that's what you signed up with. And it should be here, and just here we go. Go ahead and drop that in there. And then it will just take me in. It should take me in. Now, here's some things that I've been trying to write this, right? And all the help tickets we've gotten. And it's like, oh boy, I have to write and say, oh, we didn't do this, or we didn't do that, or this is what you have to do. And I have had some BAs say it's still not working. So I have actually reached out to them and I've had them show me their screen, and then I can kind of see what's happening. So here's what I've learned. They've used that and they've gotten in, but then it tells they don't get this far. It gives them this error message. So I always tell them, sign out, go back, kind of close out of it, go back to the training URL, go back into your login, use that top purple button. And then for whatever reason, it feels like it just pops them in and they don't have to go through the SAW thing because they already did. So it's like, just kind of go back to the login until it kind of really recognizes you. And I cannot tell you why it's doing that, but not everybody's running into it, but I actually have on occasion. So once you get that work email attached to your SAW account in this test environment, you should be good to go.
So Deb, that was for Jennifer and Tara that was having problems getting to the social security number and verify the date of birth. I think that's where.
Yeah. So here's what's happening. Okay. So anytime, here, let's try this. I know exactly what they're talking about, but I'm trying to see if I can. Oh, what are mine? It's so funny. Do you remember the other day we were all trying to test these? Let's see if I can do this.
Sunshine.
Yeah, sunshine. Oh dear, it's not working. Okay, so I am going to just create one. How's this? You guys just bear with me. I don't think I can. That's the problem, because I only have okay, so what's happening when you get this, instead of popping you into the BA screen and the Benefits 24/7 application, it's taking several people out to the screen that says, well, here, I can't do that one either. Once you get through all of this, it's taking you out to a screen that says, hi, give us your last name, the last four of your social security number, and your birthday. If you get to that screen, then you know you have a problem, because it did not identify you in the system as a BA. So two things, right? potentially we do not have you set up with access and benefits 24/7. So that's one cause. And we need your information and what agency you want us to attach you to in this test environment so that you can do that. Or the login that you're using is attached to your personal email, not your work email. So when I've told people to like, go ahead and sign up in this test environment with your work email, it seems to work. The only other thing would be it's not identifying you, and you need to reach out to us to make sure we've added you. Those are the only two things. So once I've talked to people and we've gotten those figured out, seems to work great.
So without seeing it, that's probably what's going on.
Yeah, it's just like this. It's hard for me to replicate only because geez, I feel like all of mine are, well, maybe I can try this one. But I feel like I already said it, because what happens, it's going to give you the screen. Yeah, it's not going to work. Because this is what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen with your employees. When they come out here and you as a BA working in it as an employee instead of in your role as a BA, right? Because you want to do your own enrollment. Maybe at open enrollment, you need to get in there because you want to get into this great new plan we offered or something. So you're not going to be keying in getting into this as a BA. You're going to log in as a subscriber. And when you put your login and password that's attached to your personal email, the first thing it's going to do is say, okay, we don't have your email in the benefits 24/7 system. But so how we have to identify you with this login through SAW is through your last name, your birth date, and your last four of your social security number. So once you've verified, it's kind of like another verification thing, then it's going to go ahead and let you in, and it will never ask for that again after that. But because it's the only way to verify you. Right now, how you as a BA get in is when you've attached this to your email for your work, and that same email account is what we have in benefits 24/7 for your BA access. It's like they find each other and they say, okay, we'll let them in without that 3 steps that your employees do. I know it's confusing. I hope I made sense the way I said it. Would it matter if we have a work email and personal? It doesn't matter. You're going to want both, right? You're going to want, oh, you mean in the test environment? Okay. So yeah, if you use your personal SAW account, it is going to, if you use your SAW account that's attached to your personal email, it's going to ask for those 3 questions, the subscriber's last name, date of birth, and those 4 numbers on your social security, right? Because it's thinking you're trying to sign in as an employee. But if you use it with your work email, and we have you set up in there with BA admin access, it's going to find you and know to just pop you right out to your dashboard. So it's really important that you use them separately in the test environment and also when you go live.
Hey, Deb.
Because again, you'll play it. You'll be an employee sometimes using it. Yeah, Rob.
I believe if they have a real SAW account, because this is a test site, so with the regular Secure Access Washington, if they already have a SAW account, they could log into the real benefits 24/7 on May 8th. This is totally
Correct.
separate than this test site here.
Correct.
But they don't need
Correct.
to create a whole new SAW
Nope.
account to log
They
into
do not.
benefits. Yeah.
Right. So right now, I don't want to complicate this any further, but if they're trying to sign up for an account just to get into the test environment, as long as you use your email for work,
Hey,
it doesn't
Deb,
matter. Yeah.
Jennifer's not in the system user, so she's not even added there. So that's one reason why she's not getting in. So I looked her up.
Okay. So
I can add her if I had her. She should provide her email. I can add her.
yeah, Jennifer. Yeah. Either you can send us, how do you want to do that, Larry? Do you want to have her do it right here?
Yeah, you can do it right here. That's fine.
Hey, Jennifer, do you want to go ahead and put your email in the Q&A, and then Larry will go ahead and add you. He knows what agency, right, Larry?
Yep.
So then that way you should be able to get in with no problem.
Another thing we see, Deb, is like the email is incorrect. So they'll either put a period
Yes.
after whatever. If it's incorrect in any way, it's not exactly like their email address, then they will not be able to get in.
Yes. And Rob, I'm really glad you said that, because here in trying to troubleshoot all these logins, I swear, I look at the email that the BA has given me, and then I go into benefits 24/7. And seriously, I'm off by one dot or something, or somebody put
Yeah.
them in a dot somewhere. And if when you're signing up and you're using your email and we didn't put it in right, you're right, it won't find you because it has to be exact. So yeah, that's a very good point, Rob.
Definitely recommend that. As a BA, you're going to have two SAW accounts, one with your personal email to get in your personal benefits 24/7, and then one with your work email to get into your admin access for benefits 24/7. You got to have two. You can't have more than that, because then SAW will try to decide which account do I go to. So you only can have one SAW account for your work admin access, and then one for your personal.
Correct.
So Deb, I added her too. So she's in now.
Yeah. Hey, Jennifer, are you going to try to get in while we're on the line? And then you can maybe send us a thumbs up or saying that, yeah, you got in, so we know you're good.
Just use your work email to log in though.
One thing I did yesterday, Deb, if you go to either the test SAW account or the real SAW account and I pulled it up, forgot username, and it showed me all my usernames that were tied to that email address. And again, you can only have one. So I went ahead and deleted. I had like 15 of them in there. So you can
Yeah,
go
I
in
feel like
if you go
me, you-
straight to the SAW account.
Right. Right. It gets messy. I don't want to go too much into that just because this can get complicated if things like that happen. So we're hoping in the test environment, truly, that nobody's in there. So you just sign up using your email, your work email, then you should be good. And again, I apologize because we did not know that at the time of the recording. Oh, good. Great. She's in. Okay. Gosh, so sorry, because that means you haven't been able to get into it and start playing around and testing it. Super sorry.
Yeah, Tara's another one that came in. I don't see her in here, but got to figure that one out.
Maybe she can also, Tara, do you want to send in the Q&A, do you want to go ahead and send your email? And Larry, you know what agency she needs, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. We'll just kind of let her do that. And does anybody else in the audience have any questions? How about like anything on the front end? Last week, we had 4 other videos. And again, the videos, if you have watched them, or even if you haven't, if you run into any problems with the HCA, the benefits 24/7 application. So you're trying all these things that we've already posted the videos out there, and it's not working for you, or you run into an issue that we don't know about, please send us an HCA support ticket, right? Because that's the only way we're going to be able to help you until these webinars become available once a week. So here's some other things that I would just like to be very upfront about is we are getting BAs coming in and, they're trying all the other functionality in the system, and then they're starting to ask questions about it. And that's okay too. But just know that we haven't probably done training on it yet. And here's my truth. I'm the one creating the videos currently, and Rob and Sarah too. We are not doing every functionality of the system at this time. We are trying to give benefits administrators the training that we feel like they need to get in to the system once it goes live to be able to maneuver the system, right? But it has a lot of functionality, and we are not going to be able to do a training video that covers everything. But here's what I'd like to say. You have a question, we didn't address it, or something didn't work the way you thought it should. Please, please, please do not hesitate to, put your questions in these webinars, because that's the only way we're going to know. And also to go ahead and send an HCA support ticket, because we're going to get those tickets. And here's what's happened so far to me. I get something and I'm like, whoa, I didn't test that. I don't know yet. So I go in and I'm actually able to say, there's actually something that our developers need to fix on that. But I may not have known that if somebody wouldn't have asked the question and I went in and tried it myself. So I have been given, this team has been given direction on the videos that we are going to be rolling out and in the order that we're going to be rolling them out. I already have a list long of other video topics based on the inquiries that I've been getting that we need to be doing. So I guess that's the best thing I can say is just know it won't all be rolling out. We're just trying to roll it out in the priority order as we get questions, or, this is going to stop business, right? If we don't get this out there. So that's what we're trying to do. And yeah, that's just kind of all I wanted to say about that.
Hey,
You guys
Deb.
have anything else you want to add?
Hey, Deb, the Lincoln County is not even in there.
What?
They haven't added that employer to it.
Okay.
So I got to get a hold of Jeff to add that.
Is that where Tara's from?
Yeah, Lincoln County.
Okay, that's a second.
So they haven't added the employer, so it was new this year.
Oh, they were new. Well,
Yes,
wouldn't they
it was-
be in,
They
when did they
should
come
be.
on? When did they come on
1-1.
of this year?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, interesting. You don't know their agency number there?
Yeah, D76, 900 D76. But there, I looked it up in the.
Oh, you did that too. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see them either. Okay. Well, that's something that's really important that we need to get taken care of. Okay.
Yep, I'll do it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Blair.
Mhm.
Lisa, so you added a subscriber in the training site and then selected manage that subscriber. I'm not seeing the wizard to click on and test to go through the enrollment process like they submitted paper forms. Okay, so what agency, Lisa, are you from? Just out of curiosity. Bellingham Housing Authority. So I'm going to go in. So the screen you're seeing, I probably shouldn't be showing you because it's on. Is this okay if I just go through this way? Because it's the only way I'm going to be able to see everybody's stuff to like walk through it. You guys,
Yeah.
Larry?
Yeah, it's
It's all fake
date.
anyway.
It's probably the
Yeah.
date. It's probably the date
Yeah.
that.
So what
Yeah.
I'm going to do is go to her organization first. This is our side of the house that you guys would not be able to see. So that's why I was asking Larry. But it doesn't matter. None of it's
That last
real
one there.
information, right? It's
The
all
last one.
It's all
Yep.
fake information anyway. So, okay. So we're going to go, I guess could you give me your subscriber's name? Right there. Okay. Training test. Okay. So looks like, let's see. So let's go to the eligibility. So this, Lisa, is how, if if they don't come up with a wizard, which is something that should happen, right? Once you've entered them, how you can go back and look at that is through the eligibility tab. So, this is a good one. Okay. So their hire date is April the 18th, right? So we
Perfect.
know their date of eligibility is 5/1. So the system, somebody thought this was an error, and it's kind of cool actually. So we had a BA say, hey, we get a lot of new hires and we don't want to wait until the day that they come meet with us for their new employee orientation. We want to get them in the system now. And that way they're ready, right? So they said it's an error because this is not coming up. So we did check with our developers, but here's the case. It will not show up. So let's say you've got them added as a new subscriber. And for whatever reason, if your agency sends them information beforehand, like review this packet before your onboarding day, and they go out to the PEBB employees website and they see this benefits 24/7 and they click on it and they go ahead and register and get in, you don't want them in there doing, they won't get an eligibility wizard because they're not really eligible. Their 31 days does not start until May 1st. So that's why. So if this was May 1st, then that wizard would show up and it would show that 31 days. So hopefully that makes sense. You didn't do anything wrong, but that's a really good thing to look at. Make sure that, like Larry said, it's going to be.
Though,
Go ahead.
that's wrong.
Uh-oh.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
Because it should be 31 days from 4/18.
31 days from the hire date, Larry?
Yeah.
Because the date of
Oh,
eligibility normally is 31 days, whatever date that's put in. So
But-
maybe they should have inserted 4/18 as the date of eligibility.
Right.
oh, wow.
Right.
That's so true. That's very, very true. We're going to have to report that because
Well, no, if that's right, it's just that Lisa.
this is right, but the wizard isn't showing up, and it does because it's supposed to come in on 4/18. That's right. Okay. I got ahead of myself on that one. I apologize.
So there's a little explanation about that, Lisa, is that the date of eligibility is the first day of work. So basically, we talk about the for hire date is the first day of work. So you want to put the date of eligibility. It doesn't mean when the coverage begins. It means when the first date of eligibility would be 4/18 versus 5/1.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the wizard, Larry. It's because she didn't put in the correct date of
Yeah, that's
eligibility.
very, very true. You're
Yeah,
right.
of course, yes.
Yeah,
Hire date in this instance was 4/18, which means eligibility started on 4/18. Now, when she would have added this employee, if she would have put 4/18 on that first screen where she was putting the social security number and the eligibility as 4/18, when she got to this page, initially when she was adding all the other information, it would have said effective coverage 5/1. That would be effective coverage day. I think that's what she's probably looking at. And that's why. Yeah, you're right. The wizard. This is just wrong. And oh boy, I haven't gone through this yet. Maybe the video. I don't know what's out there for week 3, but what is out there for week 3, Larry, for trainings?
I think SOEs or something.
Oh, it is. So we haven't done. So who is the gal that asked this? Lisa. As far as Larry, I'm going to ask you.
Mhm.
And Rob too, because you work in the system, right? Already. If this is wrong, the date of eligibility, and she already, accepted it.
She would have to put in a HCA support ticket to get our customer service to change that.
Yeah, that's
They
going
have
to
no
be my
way.
question.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why it's really important that once you enter that date of eligibility on the previous screen, and you got that coverage effective date, that you review that and make sure it's correct. And if it's not, then you hit the cancel button in the lower right-hand corner and start back over again.
Yeah,
That initial screen, when you're adding the employee.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far ahead on any of this, but there is that ability at some point, and I'm going to just ask you, Rob, see here where we say not eligible, and then you could maybe start over. We don't do that.
I wouldn't do that. I would just
Okay.
contact
Yeah.
customer service and
Okay.
they'll change the
I'm
date.
going to follow Rob's lead on that. Contact HCA support if you got this incorrect, and then we can go ahead and do whatever needs to get done to correct that for you.
But again, as we roll out benefits 24/7 on the 8th, when you first enter a newly hired employee and you enter that date of eligibility, say 5/1, on the next screen, it'll show the coverage effective date. And if you see that date is incorrect or the date of eligibility is incorrect, before you hit that submit button, cancel it and then start back over adding the eligible employee with the correct date of eligibility. That's something you want to just get used to checking every time when you're adding a new employee.
So you guys want to look at those questions and see if we've answered them all?
Yeah, so for Jennifer 1, the first day of work is the first when the 31 day starts. So we say that's the date of eligibility would be the first day of work. And remember that we have a chart out there on the website that tells you when the first day of work is and when the benefits begin. When you see the date of eligibility, that's the first day of work. That's what you want to use. And the reason why this is not showing up here because the benefits doesn't begin until the eligibility doesn't come into 5/1. So that's when the wizard will show up on the screen.
Yeah, I had it kind of right. Yeah, this one, you guys caught that. That's great. Will the system be correct for those that have amendments to their policies for eligibility and start date?
So employer groups, some of them have different start dates and stuff.
Do you
with the
know?
system.
Do you know?
I don't know for sure.
So
we can get back to her on that one.
yeah.
Don't get that one. We'll get back to her.
That is a good question, though. I kind of came up to me like that's something we probably should be, like wanting to make sure. I just didn't know. Is Tara one of those agencies?
Lincoln County.
And does she have different eligibility dates?
I would have to look and see.
Okay, so that's something that, here's the thing too, just so everybody knows, if we're not answering your question and we're saying we don't know, and here's what I would like everybody to know. We're taking all of these questions and we're pulling them together because we have the ability to do that at the end of the webinar. The ones we know we answered, okay, that's great, but we're going to be able to identify the ones we didn't. We are sending those, either we're going to test them or we're going to send those on to our team if we don't know, right? We don't know how to do that yet, and we're going to be working on that. And if we find a problem and we don't know how to answer that, we're going to be sending that forward as well. It's my understanding it's going to come back in two ways. One, they're developing an FAQ to put out on the Benefits Administrator website so people can refer to that as a database to just look at issues and see if somebody else already submitted that to see what the answer was. And also, I'm working, and I know Rob and Larry too, we're working with our supervisor to identify topics that maybe we didn't address and we weren't going to put them in the videos, but we're going to now make a video training as a result of that question. So please keep asking your questions, even if we don't have the answer today, because that's what's going to drive us being able to get you the answers.
So Pam had a question about the date of eligibility and the hire date. She asked if the first day of work is 7 days after the hire date, that is your date of eligibility, whatever the first day of work is, even if they're not the same. So the hire date, if they start 7 days later, the date of they start the first day of work is a date of eligibility, not the hire date.
I have a good tip that'll save you a lot of time, BAs, is when you're creating even your SAW count for this, or if you have to create one for the live environment, write down your username and password. We have had so many issues with BAs creating, they couldn't get in, so they would create another SAW count and have like 4 or 5 SAW counts because they can't remember their password that went with that. So write that information down, keep it in a safe place as you create these accounts.
And that's all the questions, Deb.
Okay. So if anybody doesn't have, if there's nobody has questions anymore, we're going to go ahead and end the webinar and just thank you very much for attending, and go ahead and watch the videos that are still out there for you to watch and go in the system, practice, play with it, send questions, and then also come back next week to the next webinar, and have a wonderful weekend.